Michael Jackson's infamous doctor faces charges for the King of Pop's death. But who's really responsible?
Don't blow a bunch of cash on Vegas when you're trying to save for college.
Well, that makes sense. Makes sense to everyone except the mayor of Las Vegas. He's not too happy with the president. Wait till you hear what he had to say. And Miley Cyrus's 9-year-old little sister is launching a line of lingerie for little girls. Doesn't that seem appropriate? All the stories people are talking about and everything you need to know right now on The Filter. Hello again on The Filter Forefront, our top 4 including, do you think it's appropriate for a 9-year-old girl to walk around in fishnet stockings and lingerie? But we'll start with this. It happened in Los Angeles. It affected the world. The death of Michael Jackson. Since that fateful day on June 25th of last year, authorities have been building a case against Dr. Conrad Murray. Jackson died of a drug overdose. Propofol was one of the drugs, a powerful sedative used during surgery. Murray gave propofol to Jackson to help him sleep. Will the charge be manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter? Either way, he'll be charged. Our contributors joining us via Skype, political activist Paul Schrader and Doctor of Social Ethics Charlotte Laws. And Charlotte, I'll start with you. Is this a case of something must be done, or does Michael Jackson share in the responsibility for his death?
I think Michael Jackson almost totally should take responsibility for this. I think that Conrad Murray is largely being made into a scapegoat because people want revenge because a famous and beloved person died. And I can imagine a scenario between Conrad Murray and Michael Jackson where Michael Jackson says, this is what I want. He knew what he wanted. He doctor shopped. And he probably said to Murray, I'm going to do this myself, or I'm going to find some flunky on the street to do it if you don't do it in a safe way, as safe as possible.
Let me play devil's advocate right here. Let me stop you. Let me play devil's advocate right here. All right, so let's say he made that assertion to Murray. And Murray says, look, I'm the doctor, and I am telling you I'm not going to do it. Murray should have just walked out, right?
Well, I don't think so necessarily, because I think he may have felt that he could do it in a much safer way than if Jackson did it himself or got someone who didn't know what he was doing. And he had already had this done many times with many doctors in the past, so he was determined. He's a doctor shopper. So, and I personally am not a big advocate of medical paternalism. I think the patient should have a greater right in determining their medical treatment.
Right.
And as a person who suffered from chronic pain my whole life, and I've gotten migraines my entire life. At one point, I had a migraine every day for 5 years. I have only run into one doctor in my entire life who knew as much about migraines as I did.
Okay,
so I think patients also often have that information.
All right, let me say this, though. You know, I think it's a very dangerous precedent when the patients are now prescribing the medication they need. I do think that Michael Jackson must share some of the responsibility here. But I'm telling you, the doctor didn't have to do it. Paul, go ahead.
You know what? I think Conrad Murray, it looks to me like he committed involuntary manslaughter. You know, basically, he committed a lawful act that that caused someone to die. You know, the medication that he gave Michael Jackson is only supposed to be administered in a operating room. He gives this to Michael and walks away. Now, Dr. Howard Neerman is a chairperson of anesthesiology out of Ohio. He said to give this to someone for a sleep disorder is like putting a shotgun to an ant to try to help this issue. It's ridiculous. This guy did the wrong thing, and he should have to pay for it.
Well, I'll tell you, I think both of you have points here. The doctor could have walked out, but Charlotte, to speak to your point, I think Michael Jackson certainly has to accept some of the responsibility for what happened. Okay, let's move on. I don't know if you've ever watched an adult film. I'm talking about porn. At times the performers wear condoms, and at times they don't. If those movies are made in Los Angeles County, those actors have a choice. Now, an AIDS activist group asked the county to immediately require performers in porn films to wear condoms. The county official said the state legislature would need to approve legislation requiring that. So the answer is no. Supervisor Zev Yaroslavsky thinks it's a good idea, but that no California lawmaker has been willing to sponsor such legislation. Paul, should the state get involved in protecting porn performers?
Well, the state's already involved. Cal OSHA's already involved in this. Basically, they set down the rules and say that if you are a contract or an employee, and it states on their website, either one, and you're in the porn industry, that they're supposed to supply you with condoms and other protections whenever you're in this type of practice. If someone from that industry says, hey, I got ill or I had some kind of contagious disease, they're supposed to call Cal OSHA. Cal OSHA can come in, they can cite the porn industry, whoever's involved. They can basically try to bring them in compliance. But it's already spelled out in Cal OSHA, and it would be a,
Wait, let me
it's a civil.
Let me stop you. Okay, with all due respect, what are you talking about? Cal OSHA. I mean, I get it, but I mean, the bottom line is this. The people are, this AIDS activist group is saying, this is unsafe, period. We want you to do something about it, and it really comes down to this. Should government legislate whether these people are safe or not? Charlotte, go ahead.
I don't think we want big government in the bedroom, frankly. And I think that some jobs are just simply hazardous, and people go into them knowing that that's the case. If you're going to be a police officer, you're going to be a lion tamer, you're going to be in the military. And I think the sex trade is the same thing. I also don't think it's practical to try to legislate this, because you're going to have government workers sitting around monitoring porno movies all day, which is absurd. You're going to have taxpayer dollars going towards this. I think the Cal OSHA route makes sense. What my understanding is that independent contractors are not currently covered under OSHA, and that's the reason why this is not currently covered for porno stars. But I think that you could make some changes in that area, and then these people would have a little bit more voluntary protection. You know, the employers could voluntarily agree to kind of go along with the condom idea.
Well, the employers could voluntarily agree to go with it right now. But you just basically said you don't think government should be involved. So whether it's Cal OSHA or the state legislature, you don't think it works anyway.
Well, I don't think the Cal OSHA is that stringent. So I think that, you know, they try to encourage and nudge rather than go in and put people in handcuffs and carry them away.
Okay, let's go to our next topic now. Do you think it's fun to see adults call each other names? Here comes the California election. Check online.
If you're so smart, prove it. Contact NBC Filter on Twitter or Facebook, or send an email to thefilter@nbcuni.com. We care what you think, but if we don't like it, we'll filter you.